this is a topic, this is a subject that I always enjoy so much talking about it in every single game that we cover here in the channel. If you're familiar with the channel, then you know that I would like to discuss about this kind of things, because this kind of games, this one specifically, out of them all, it has a very intricate weapon system that it's filled with tutorials and tutorials and tutorials. There's many things that you might bypass, that you might not be doing on upgrading your weapon, and even more than that, on getting the strongest weapon for your character and making the concessions and decisions of which ones are going to be the best weapons for your character and how should you be upgrading those weapons for that given character. It did take me quite a while before I actually made this video, because I wanted to make sure that I had the most terminus weapons available for me, just to make sure that I just wasn't missing anything. That being said, let's begin with the basics. We're going to basically cover every single thing right here. So we have different weapons that we can forge in here, and these different weapons are going to have different traits. Those different traits are going to be basically sigils emblazoned in them. So this one has stun power, critical hit rate, weak point damage, attack, so on and so forth. I'll not talk about that just now, because those are different kind of weapons that have different kind of traits outside from that. So we'll get into that a little bit later. If I wanted to upgrade a weapon, I just have to go in here, and you will see that we have 4 different options that they are going to be unlocking throughout the course of the game. You have the level up weapon, you have the uncap, the max level of the weapon, you have Imbue, and you have the Mirage Munitions. The Mirage Munitions, you're not going to get access to them until you reach the Maniac difficulty, meaning you have to go through hard and extreme first before you actually unlock Mirage Munitions. And they are basically just more damage. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's first talk about the uncapping the maximum level of a weapon. Each individual weapon can reach a maximum level of 150. And also, that is not all. As you level up your weapon, you will see that also my traits that I have right here, they increase their level. So that is something that you want to have in mind. My build for this character, it's a critical hit rate build that I want to, it is in my best interest to have this thing right here, because I do want to be looking for critical hit rate and critical hit damage sigils, which is very useful for me as well as I level up. That being said, every weapon is going to be capped, right? And it's also going to have a little name right below here that is going to be very, very important when you decide which weapon is the best for you. So that being said, let's take a look at Ascalon right here, which is my Ascension weapon that I haven't leveled up yet for this character, and I should, for a very important reason. Then again, they are going to have a cap, and each one of them, as you can see right here, they have different caps. There's a cap at level 30, then there's another 175, and then there's the one at 100, and then 125, and then finally 150. Those are the basic caps. There's a little bit more of a different caps, but we'll talk about them a little bit later. For now, let's just keep on right here. We go in here and upgrade. As a matter of fact, now that I'm working on my Ascension weapon for this character, let's uncap the maximum level of this thing. Now I can raise this thing, bad boy, all the way to 100. If I wanted to uncap it as well, I certainly can, because I have the materials. There's quite a bit of materials that you're going to need for it. Then you're going to need the Fortitude shots. This, you're going to get them all throughout your gameplay time in different kind of missions. So you have the regular ones, the smaller ones, the medium ones, the large ones. Don't worry, you should have more than enough of them for your character if you're maining one character. I'm trying to play as many characters as possible so that I can prepare my guides for character guides and so on and so forth. But these are going to be the best, and they're going to level up your weapon quite easily. As you can see right here, this is immediately going to go from 65 to 100 level. And then I uncap the weapon, I raise it up to 125, so on and so forth. That's the basic of everything. But also we have Imbue. So as you can see, we have a whole bunch of different stones in here. to imbue our weapon, and they have different traits as well. So the Vitality Wrightstones, they are going to have as a main base critical hit rate, and then they are going to have something little else, meaning that this is going to help your build to alleviate the amount of sigils that you're going to have in that weapon. So if you're looking for a stun kind of build, then you might be wanting to use the Dread Wrightstones that have the stun power as a main sigil, and then it's going to have like all random ones. And then you have the Fortification Wrightstone, which is going to begin with HP kind of sigils, and these are going to stack with the sigils that you're going to add to your character later on. So the sigils that your Wrightstones have, they stack with the sigils that your weapon have, and then they stack with the sigils that you're going to add to your main character. So there are 3 kind of different sources of sigils that you can have to make your builds. So when you're making your builds, consider what kind of weapon are you going to be using, and what kind of stuff are you going to be adding to that given weapon, because that is going to contribute to the overall build. It's not everything about just sigils. And then we have the Mirage Munitions, and these are just basically things that are going to increase the maximum amount of HP and attack power that the weapon has. Have in mind also that this thing right here can be added and removed at your leisure. So do not be worried about adding these little things to different characters. Toy around with them, because if I have my plus 99 munitions in here to my main character, to my main weapon, I can just remove them, execute that, and then immediately go back to a different weapon and I add them back here. So this is just basically extra HP and extra damage that it's always going to be available for your desired given character, and it is going to increase your damage quite a lot more. That being said, remember that the Mirage Munitions, you're not going to get them until you reach the Maniac, which is what I consider the endgame. So yeah, there's that. Not only take care of that, what is the best weapon? What is the weapon that I should be using for my character if I'm just beginning the game? What is the weapon that I should be choosing for my character? What is the weapon that I should be upgrading? There's a little bit of a concession in here that you're going to want to make, and a little bit of a subjective discussion I would like to say as well, because there's many factors to take into account when it comes to that. The first and foremost, like always, it is going to be damage cap, and that is, remember that each character has a damage cap based on the character. So either you're going to reach that damage cap or not. There's many factors to consider about that. But out of all of the weapons that we have right here, like I told you, Defender, Ascension Weapon, Executioner, Stunner, usually the Defender, the Executioner, the Stunner, the one that I have for me right here, the Stinger, they are going to just level up to 150 and that's it. But then the Ascension Weapons, like we mentioned before, they can go beyond that level and you can keep upgrading them. And here's the thing. Ideally, in most of the cases, one of the concessions or discussions that you're going to want to make on whether it is going to be the best weapon for you or not is how much would you like to farm. Because for the Ascension Weapons, the farming, it's going to be unreal, like quite literally unreal. If we go here to awaken this weapon, you can see those awakening levels, and usually the Ascension Weapons, to balance all of this out, they are going to begin with lower values. As you can see, this one hasn't been properly leveled just yet, so I just have a couple of levels in that, but it requires quite a bit of rare materials like the fortified hut that you see right there. It doesn't have an amazing drop rate, but it is also not abysmal. That being said, I have upgraded that thing a little bit, and as you can see, my regular base Stinger weapon, it's 2k damage. If I try to change to that one, which has already been leveled a little bit, it's 1800. So also have in mind that the skills that you have, like we mentioned before, they are going to be very important into this discussion. Remember that there's a damage cap, so even if we keep upgrading this thing, damage cap is still going to be a thing. So it all comes down on the skills that you're going to have. Like, naturally this is going to be better because if you keep upgrading this one, it's going to have damage and damage and damage cap as you move forward, as you upgrade it forward. But if you can make a build such as this one right here with my character, the build that I have for my character right here, this has already capped his damage. I cannot go beyond that, meaning that even while I have just this basic weapon, because of how I built it, because of everything that we discussed previously, the Imbue traits, the Wrightstones, the sigils that the weapon that has emblazoned in it. Of course, the Ascension weapon, because of the damage cap, because it's going to have more sigils, more traits, it is going to allow you to use more things like defensiveness or more kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're just doing the basic regular for your character, like, this is the only weapon that I'd say that I need for this character specifically, because the Terminus weapon is going to be always the best. Remember that Terminus weapons have Catastrophe, which is going to increase our damage cap even beyond the usual limit that you would have. So this is naturally going to increase the DPS. The other regular Ascension weapon, no, it's not, because it just has the regular damage cap. It will take you longer to upgrade the regular Ascension weapon, so I wouldn't myself recommend. Remember, keyword in here, recommend. It's not that that you shouldn't. It's just that me personally think that it is better just using one of the regular weapons, because you're going to reach the maximum capacity and potential for your character, so you can now start farming for the this kind of weapons. But hey, that's just me, that's just an advice. Those are the things that you should consider on which is the best weapon for you and how you're going to build your character and so on and so forth. If you like the content, so like and very super appreciate it. And also you today, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I will listen to you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people. Next one, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and goodbye.